Dune Part Two was one of the most amazing, exhilarating, emotional, impactful, movie-going theatrical experiences of my life. I have been looking so forward to this movie, but not only did it meet my expectations, it exceeded them, and my expectations were impossible. Seeing this film, Dune Part Two, was like begging for a unicorn for Christmas. And I know I'm not going to get a unicorn because that's not possible because unicorns don't exist, but I still keep asking and asking and asking for a unicorn. And then when Christmas morning comes, I get a unicorn. There was something in this film that I was hoping and begging for 3 years. I was like, please let this be in part two. Please let this be in part two. But I knew there was no way it would be or could be, yada, yada, yada. And then it was. There was something else I've been joking about for weeks. Wouldn't that be hilarious if they did that? But they won't, because that would be, how could you pull that off in a serious way? They did. They did that. I have only cried I've seen thousands of films in my life. Only less than a dozen have ever made me cry. I wept multiple times during Dune Part 2 for multiple reasons, but it is the first movie ever to make me cry throughout different parts. I was welling up for half the film because I could not believe what I was witnessing. The music, the cinematography, the imagery was unlike anything I have ever seen in my life. And part two perfectly balances part one in the way, like Pink Floyd has Dark Side of the Moon, and if you play that album while watching The Wizard of Oz, the music syncs up with the imagery. I can't wait to watch part one and part two at the same time because there are so many beats and moments and themes that are in part two that perfectly mirror what happens in part one. Side by side, two sides of the same coin. This is one of the greatest achievements in cinema history, one of the greatest movies ever made, and one of the greatest theatrical experiences of my life. I'm so frustrated that I have to wait a few more days to see it again, but then I'm gonna see this movie so many freaking times. It's astounding. Thank you, Denis Villeneuve. Thank you, Hans Zimmer. Thank you, cinematographer whose name I don't know. Thank you, everyone who worked on this film. It's a masterpiece.